Okay, now question number 7. This is my favorite one for the month, is how do you plant a wildflower patch specifically from seed? So I think first of all, before we get into the how-to, is it's important to talk about the uses for this. I mean, practically, what a great thing to do with those big open spaces that you really don't need to mow anymore. Nobody needs acres upon acres of just plain monocrop green grass. I'm a big fan of green grass. I'm a big fan of spaces that you can play in, entertain in, have kids, outside. I'm a big fan of those spaces. I'm a big fan of having a nice front yard that is going to keep you at peace with your neighbors. I think that's wonderful. But nobody needs acres upon acres of this. So practically, this brings a lot of benefit to the garden, to your little ecosystem. So first of all, it's giving you a lot of biodiversity. Biodiversity in plants and pollination sources. It's giving food and nectar to honeybees, to the native pollinators, to moths, butterflies, that whole spectrum. It's giving a place for quail. Native songbirds are getting seed there. It's a place of wonder. What a great thing to send kids out or go out yourself and pick a bouquet of wildflowers, or look at the flowers or the pollen under the microscope, or send guests home with, a handful of flowers when they come over to visit. Adding something like that to every place setting when you're inviting people over for dinner. It's just a great opportunity to learn and to be connected with nature. So I think it's a great opportunity that is missed by a lot of folks, to having a real naturalized space and just to see nature doing its thing on your property. Now, I think a lot of you have seen on the last podcast, we got into the wildflower thing pretty in depth as a way to have an alternative to using wood chip mulch in the long run. So you don't always have to be mulching. The key is just covering your soil. This is a great alternative method. My friend Patrick Lang from Grow Your Own FL did this really cool little spotlight reel on his Instagram, and I'll put his information there below. Kind of showcasing a little wildflower area. Now, I've done a lot of these over the years in Michigan, many of them in Kansas City, and a lot of them here in Florida, obviously. And so there's a lot of great resources. My favorite book right now is this guy right here. I'm going to get a sip. The Florida Meadow Manual, I think is a really great one. I got this from my friends Chris and Christy from the Wild Garden Co. This gives species, how do you plant it, how do you maintain it, different seed mixes, different planting ideas and structures. I think this is probably my new favorite Florida-specific wildflower all-in-one manual. Now, there's a lot of great websites depending on where you're from. If you're in zones 3 through 9A, Prairie Moon Nursery is a great one. American Meadows is a great one. There's a lot of really good websites that have good seed mixes. Hancock Seed Company has some native wildflower seed mixes or quail mixes. So there's a lot of ways, that you can go about this. Now, in general, how do you do this? I would say the first thing is select a good quality seed company that's going to give you a lot of diversity. Don't do a mix if it's got 5 types of plants or less. And be okay with mixing annuals and perennials. The benefit of the annuals is that it gives you kind of immediate color. Within a couple months, you're going to have zinnias, you're going to have cosmos, you're going to have some that's all I can think of at the moment. Celosa, some sunflowers. You're going to have some instant gratification of color. Now, the perennials can take, 6 months, even up to a year to really begin to flower. So I like to mix annuals and perennials. The other benefit to having those annuals is that they kind of protect the perennials while the perennials are young. Then when the annuals die out, then the perennials have their chance to shine. So I would look for a good quality mix that has perennials and annuals mixed together. And I would veer toward native. So look for a place that's going to give you ones that are native to your area, not just broad spectrum, black-eyed Susan. Look for the black-eyed Susan that are native to you. Look for the Coreopsis that are going to be native, to your area. I love to find companies that will tailor the seed mix to the height that you want, to the sun exposure, or to the soil type. So that's why in the Midwest, I love Prairie Moon, because you can just kind of type it in and it gives you, here's your mix, for it. So to me, that was super, super helpful, finding a company that is going to be really a good quality seed and not just a junk mix, from Dollar General. The second thing in planting these wildflower meadows is your soil prep. This is the most important thing in doing a wildflower area. It is not going to work to just mow it short, scatter your seed, and hope for the best. I can almost guarantee you're going to be sad. Wildflowers and the annual wildflowers are not going to do well in soil that has not been prepared properly because they don't like competition. They're not going to compete well with the grass. So option one is you can solarize, you can send animals like chickens to go through first, you can till it up a couple times. There's a lot of ways to prep your soil, and I would say tilling it in this case is probably a good idea. It's going to kind of mix up the bacteria that are in the soil. It's going to chop up some of the grass roots and that sort of thing to lessen the competition. So after I solarize or send chickens through, I like to till it, wait a week, till it again, or you can dig it and kind of turn your soil. But it's really, really important to prepare your soil correctly. If you need more information on that, there is a blog article at permaculturefx.com on installing a food forest that gets a deeper dive into soil preparation. And that's just really important when you're doing things, especially from seed. The third thing that I would do is spread seed by hand. I like those little grass seed spreaders, work really, really well. And then drag it in. So it does need to be either raked lightly with like a garden rake or using a drag to go over the top. Most of those wildflower seeds are small and they need to be worked into the soil. One, so they're covered and they can root in, but also number two, so the songbirds don't get it. Because if you don't rake it in, those seeds are exposed. The wild birds are gonna eat it, the squirrels are gonna eat it faster than anything. And then I like to, when I'm done dragging, spread some hay and straw on top just to let that kind of cover it. It'll also help retain the moisture a little bit while things are getting established. And then the fourth thing is water, water, water. I'm not a big fan of watering in a lot of contexts, but when you're establishing a wildflower habitat, you're trying to do what would take nature months and months and months or years and years and years. You're doing it in a short amount of time. So for the first 30 days, every day, check it and make sure your soil is moist. If it's drying out at all, it can damage the roots or those little tiny seedlings. For some reason, like native wildflowers, when that first set of leaves, the cotyledon, comes out, it takes a little while for the second set of true leaves to come out. And if it dies in the cotyledon phase, the plant is done, so there's no bringing it back. So I would say water, water, water for those first 30 days to get things established. Now, if it rains that day, you're fine. You don't need to water, but you're going to probably have a tripod sprinkler, out there or whatever, just to get things watered really well for the first 30 days to really work it in. After the first 30 days, you don't really do much. I don't weed wildflower areas. I want the weeds. I don't manage them, but once a year when they're looking really bad, like during dormancy period, I'll probably short mow them once a year just to reset the seed bank and to cycle the nutrients. But I want those seeds to go back into the soil. So that to me is part of the benefit is the things that are going to grow well on your site in a wildflower mix are going to grow well. The things that aren't are just going to phase themselves out. Now, after the first year, a lot of times I'll go through and I'll find areas that are struggling. I'll kind of rake it out. I'll spot seed again with another wildflower mix and just kind of repair it that way. And then about every 4 to 5 years, I might do a controlled burn to reset the system because controlled burns really actually help reset that seed bank for you. So there's not a lot of maintenance to it, and it's a lot of timeless benefit. So if you want more information on that wildflower system, there's going to be some great stuff coming up in Patreon on growing that wildflower forest, but hopefully getting a good book, finding some good websites like Prairie Moon Nursery or American Meadows will get you off to a great start on starting a beautiful wildflower patch from seed. So that is all for our questions for this month in the Homestead Huddle. Hopefully these questions have been helpful to you. If you want a deeper dive, you can always jump on Patreon. That's my mentorship community. There's a free version of that. And you can also jump into the 7-day free trial for an all-access pass. There are over 45 classes, over 50 PDF documents. Many farms use them to train their staff, to train themselves, but a lot of homeschool groups use them with kiddos as well. Most of our videos are very, very family friendly, even kid friendly, so that way you can use them with the entire family. So if this has been helpful to you, if you would just take a moment, do the social media thing and hype things up a little bit, it's always helpful for this information to get into the hands of people that would find it useful the most. So thank you so much for taking time to listen or to watch or however you are engaging with this material. As always, have fun, and I will see you next time in the garden.